Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. The state's new ILEARN exam is testing the patience of parents and educators. School leaders have raised the alarm after seeing a dramatic drop in scores ahead of results going public next week.
We are hopeful that our General Assembly will take a hard look at our state accountability system.
Ahead, what it means for schools. Indiana University brings a lot to Bloomington, but not property tax revenue. We examine the complicated relationship between town and gown. And a photographer who captured snapshots of Brown County history is now making history himself.
He was a great ambassador for our lifestyle here. And back then, it was a totally different world from the rest of the country.
Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Educators are pressing for an overhaul of the state's school accountability system after a reported drop in student achievement on the state's new ILEARN exam, and that includes the state's top education official. Test scores play a key role in how schools and teachers are evaluated, but policymakers say they want to avoid penalizing schools for the lower scores since it's the first year of the test. And State Superintendent of Public Instruction Jennifer McCormick says that's just a start.
We are hopeful that our General Assembly will take a hard look at our state accountability system and address some of those concerns so a year from now we're not having the same conversation.
Education reporter Jeanne Lindsay joins us to walk us through the latest on the controversial ILEARN test. Jeanne, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
So what kinds of changes does McCormick want to see in the State House? We just heard from her.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first thing is holding schools harmless this year, basically not penalizing them for lower A through F grades based on lower test scores. And kind of going with that, she wants to pause the intervention timelines for schools so the state isn't trying to come in and fix schools while they have lower grades because of the new test. And like you said, like we just heard, the accountability system is another focal point. So she wants lawmakers to give the state board power to take a really hard look at the accountability system and the way that the state uses test scores. She says that it shouldn't be a tool to evaluate teachers or to hold schools necessarily accountable just based on testing, because it's so much more complicated than that.
So iStep Plus, now that's the test ILEARN replaced, that rolled out in what, 2015?
Right.
Also saw similar drops. So how does that compare to now?
Right. So in iStep Plus, we saw drops in scores, and people were pretty blindsided by that. And lawmakers then similarly had to take legislative action that a lot of people were calling for. And so people weren't necessarily surprised that ILEARN saw a similar dip, but I've heard that people were kind of disappointed because when students were taking the test this spring, a lot of people thought that it went well. So it was less of a big shock and more of just kind of disappointing news.
So these numbers are going to be made public next week. What happens then?
Right, so the state board is going to be presented with the scores at their September 4th meeting, and we'll get a chance to really dive into the data and analyze, how big the drops were and where. But afterwards, that's kind of when we wait to see what lawmakers will do. So they know that they want to hold schools harmless, but we have to wait and see how they'll do that, and then how the state accountability system will change through the state board.
So we will look forward to your reporting come Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be there.
Okay. Jeanne, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Part of the town-gown relationship in a major university city such as Bloomington involves money. How does Indiana University and the city of Bloomington interact in overlapping areas that have financial costs? Bob Zaltzberg investigates in this City Limits story.
Students return this week to class at Indiana University. It's like having two towns in one as the quiet, relaxed days of summer fade and the city's population nearly doubles. Pamela Davidson loves a lot that Indiana University brings to Bloomington, but she's bothered about something. IU covers nearly 3 square miles inside the city of Bloomington and doesn't pay property taxes on it.
Well, we all know IU is tax exempt. There's no changing that. But I am the wife and the daughter of economists, and we know there's no such thing as a free lunch. So I have long been interested in how Indiana University contributes to the cost of their being here.
If you think of the relationship between IU and Bloomington, it's like having a city within a city. And both of the entities have to learn how to coexist.
The relationship between the university and the city of Bloomington is quite strong.
Morrison says he and other university officials talk regularly with city counterparts. For him, that's Deputy Mayor Mick Renneisen. Renneisen says IU does make a direct payment for a service the university doesn't provide for itself.
The city has a direct payment relationship for fire protection at the Woodlawn Station on campus. So IU provides the land and the facility and pays for the firefighters and any improvements to the facility on an annual basis.
That works out to about $1.3 million a year. IU owns the tallest buildings in Bloomington, so the university helped buy a 100-foot ladder truck. IU picked up more than 80% of the $1.2 million cost. IU has its own police department, but pays Bloomington for special events that require extra officers. That usually works out to about $60,000 a year in overtime that's reimbursed to the city. In addition to direct payments, estimates show in 2018, IU paid about $7.6 million to local governments through a Monroe County income tax. The city receives about half of that.
The university's salaries are a significant contributor to our local income tax, which does fund city government services.
Transportation is another area of cooperation. University buses have 3 million riders a year, city buses have 3.5 million riders a year, and IU pays the city to maintain its buses. Morrison says the millions of student riders help Bloomington Transit attract more federal funding, which is based on ridership. Still, Morrison concedes that tensions persist.
There are always cultural issues in terms of, think of issues of public safety and, that's where we are one community.
Renneisen just returned from a meeting of Big Ten city managers. He says the issue about payments and services came up a lot. So did affordable housing, sustainability practices, impact of student housing on neighborhoods, and transportation and mobility issues. Land use issues can be sticky, but Renneisen says history gives Bloomington officials comfort.
When the university wants to build something, we really don't worry too much. Their standards are pretty high. They probably would exceed anything we would ever put in our building code.
Despite tensions, Renneisen says a major university makes the city more interesting, prosperous, and livable.
The benefit of having an institution like Indiana University in our community is it's a tourism attraction. So people that come here for arts or culture or sports or continuing education, when they're here, they're spending money on all kinds of things.
Morrison says just consider what could happen if IU were in the private sector.
We often joke within a university is, imagine if a university could pick itself up like a corporate headquarters and move to a different community. What would the bidding be like to have a university in your hometown? And of course we can't, and we're not. But in today's world of economic development, universities are prize crown jewel in any university, in any community that has one.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Bob Zaltzberg.
Morrison says questions about IU's tax-free status will continue to come up, but he says that the state and federal governments long ago determined higher education is something that is more of a benefit to society than a cost. As part of our City Limits series, we answer the questions you want to know about the past, present, and future of the Bloomington community. You can join the conversation and submit your questions by going to WTIU.org/citylimits. Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brozier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Indiana Virtual Education, Inc. had its charters revoked earlier this week by the Daleville Community Schools, the virtual schools oversight body. Indiana officials allege the schools received more than $40 million in state funds from exaggerated student enrollment data for 3 years. The following day, 2 board members of Indiana Virtual Education resigned before canceling a public meeting. A lawyer for the virtual school says since the board running the schools dissolved and no employees or staff remain, the board is no longer responsible. Indiana Virtual School students should contact Daleville schools for transcripts. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo addressed hundreds in Indianapolis earlier this week at the American Legion National Convention. Pompeo's remarks touched briefly on current foreign policy hotspots, but he reserved the most time for Afghanistan. He acknowledged that some children now entering college weren't alive when the U.S. sent troops there.
We don't know how these efforts towards peace and reconciliation will end, but President Trump is committed to make sure that we get it right.
His speech centered on Americanism, which the Legion lists as a core pillar, which he says means a political bent focused on an America that should be free from criticism. And yesterday, Vice President Mike Pence dropped by the convention to make a case for the Trump administration's re-election in 2020. Pence highlighted the Trump administration's record, including reform at the Department of Veterans Affairs and last week's move to eliminate student loan debt for permanently disabled veterans. He says that progress would be undone by losing in 2020. He asked the crowd to engage with younger voters.
And so as we look ahead, let me remind you, we can't just settle to win the next election, we've got to win the next generation.
He contrasted that work against some Democrats in Congress who he says advocate for, quote, a system that has impoverished millions. Sports betting is just days away from becoming legal in Indiana, and the state's casinos are lining up to start collecting wagers. At least 3 Indiana casinos plan the opening of on-site sports wagering areas when the law takes effect Sunday. And the Indiana Gaming Commission is now accepting proposals for a new Vigo County casino. The commission approved a Gary Casino's move inland, which allows a gaming venue in Terre Haute. Casino operators have until December 1st to submit proposals for the Vigo County facility. But first, Vigo County voters must approve a ballot referendum this November. The town of Speedway on Indianapolis's west side thinks someone has been dumping hundreds of gallons of oil into its wastewater system. Rebecca Thiel reports it's costing the town $2,000 to $3,000 a week to keep the oil from reaching a nearby creek.
Norman Berry is the wastewater superintendent for the town of Speedway. He says for the past month, the plant has had to buy extra oxygen to help the microorganisms in the treatment facility stay alive and break down the oil.
There are certain clouds of oil that are escaping this tank and going out into the rest of the process. Even though it's minimal, that's what's causing our oxygen demand.
Berry says for the most part, the extra oxygen is working. The oil hasn't threatened the health of Eagle Creek, which is where the treated water from the plant goes.
But that can change if the illegal activity increases, the quantity increases.
Speedway town manager Jacob Blaisdell says wastewater customers in Speedway could end up paying for those extra treatment costs.
Eventually that gets passed on to the people that pay their sewer bills. Those costs have to come from somewhere, and certainly that's not fair to those people.
Berry says based on the amount of oil, it's likely coming from a business. Officials are asking for the public's help to catch who's responsible. They say oil has been dumped in the early morning hours on weekends. Town officials say the person or persons responsible will pay for the extra treatment costs and could face criminal charges. Residents near the town of Speedway should contact police if they see something suspicious that may be related to illegal oil dumping. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
Bloomington residents heard the latest draft of the city's Unified Development Ordinance during 2 of at least 3 Bloomington Plan Commission meetings concerning the ordinance. Residents lined up out the door to make public comments about the proposed changes. Some pushed for increasing urban density, calling it a global and local issue. But one resident says she worries what could happen to young families trying to get a start without single-family zoning laws.
Then they're in competition with outside investors, quite often from the East Coast or West Coast, who have boodles of money, and they outbid you. So you can't purchase a house to rehab.
The latest draft of the UDO features a number of changes city leaders say are designed to lower housing costs and increase urban density while managing student housing. Residents who spoke during the public comment period pointed out inconsistencies of lot size guidelines, and many focused on problems they worry about the way city officials are going about increasing urban density. The last of 3 scheduled public meetings will be held September 5th. And Joe, you were at that meeting last night. They've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, at least 15 amendments, if not more. And so now it goes through that process of public comment, discussion before they actually move forward. So I think at least 1 more meeting, if not a few more.
They're going to be busy until the end of the year.
They will. Thanks, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Blue-green algae is growing in Lake Monroe, and officials say runoff from farming is the culprit. And folks in Brown County are celebrating a photographer who came for the hills but stayed for the people. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
$10,000.
15? 15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5.
24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair.
Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Well, recent high levels of blue-green algae at Lake Monroe are concerning some boaters. Now, much of the algae growth is caused by excess phosphorus running off from farm fields. Reporter Brock Turner has more on what farmers are doing to minimize the risk of field runoff.
Testing will continue throughout the holiday weekend at Lake Monroe for blue-green algae. That's after the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, or IDEM, advised Hoosiers of high levels in the lake earlier this month. Experts say blue-green and other types of algae thrive in environments that are rich in phosphorus, a chemical that occurs naturally in soil. While small amounts of runoff are generally expected, problems can occur when larger quantities enter waterways. That, experts say, can be the cause for much of the growth at Lake Monroe. Crops like corn and soybeans rely on phosphorus to grow. Farmers often apply it to their fields to help maximize their yields.
If we have higher levels of phosphorus entering our waterways, we're promoting that plant growth in the water, which again is going to really stimulate that algae to grow, but then it ends up suffocating out a lot of the other beneficial species that we have in the water.
Rush County farmer Ben Wicker serves as the executive director at the Indiana Agriculture Nutrient Alliance. He says chemicals don't do farmers any good if they wash away.
Fertilizer and phosphorus fertilizers, included in that, can be one of the greatest, input costs that a farmer may have, per acre on his farm.
Wicker says farmers have plenty of tools to help limit runoff. Among them are no-tilling fields, which leaves phosphorus in the ground, planting cover crops, and using precision techniques that help them apply less product. But there's only so much they can do.
We're dealing with Mother Nature a lot of times. We have inherently leaky systems.
This spring's flooding and nutrient loss from runoff added additional complications for farmers.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's any worse this year than typical years, partly because As the weather was not cooperating early on in the year, farmers were making some of those decisions to apply or to not apply more specifically because of the fact that they weren't going to be able to plant those fields.
And both anticipate farmers to continue finding ways to limit runoff. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
Tourists spend more than $40 million a year visiting Brown County, but it wasn't always such a popular destination. Many locals say photographer Frank Hohenberger helped draw people to the region in the 1900s with his pictures of its people and places. And as Barbara Brozier reports, a state historical marker now officially recognizes his work.
Frank Hohenberger first heard of Brown County in 1917 when he was working at H. Lieber Company in Indianapolis, which had a photography lab. Someone brought in a roll of pictures to be developed that showed the rolling landscape, and Hohenberger decided he had to see it for himself.
He came down, instantly fell in love, and within a week he had quit his job and moved down to the Ferguson House, which is a boarding house in town. And he lived there for several months till he got settled and got to know everybody.
Buzz King grew up around Hohenberger. They even shared the same birth date. His father and uncle drove the photographer all over the region to help him capture his famous pictures.
Every once in a while he'd look, and then when he thought it was just right, he'd get up, pull the dark slide out, snap a picture, and go. And what he was doing was he was waiting for the sun to be just right, so the shadows added to the picture.
Hohenberger started by photographing the landscapes and buildings in Brown County. The steep hills and rugged dirt roads made travel much more difficult in the early 1900s. So many Hoosiers had never seen a place quite like this.
The flatlands to the north of us, Indianapolis, they were not used to this.
The Indianapolis Star started publishing a column from Hohenberger in 1923 called Down in the Hills o' Brown County.
That Indianapolis Star article then talked about the people here and things that he had learned. I think it sounded like he talked to Allie Ferguson and others about the gossip and then printed that in the Indianapolis Star, which sometimes angered some of the local people, and other times I'm sure they were probably flattered by what he said.
It wasn't done in jest. Hohenberger was enamored with the people here. In a 1924 column, he wrote, "When you are driving along the highways, make it a point to ask the natives some questions about locations, neighbors, crops, and morality, and I'll warrant you'll not be disappointed regarding the generally high estimate I have always placed on the intelligence of the population." His vivid description of Brown County started to draw people from all over to the quaint towns and villages.
You got to remember, we didn't have, even when I was little, we didn't have all these shops. We had maybe 12 at the most. People didn't come here to go shopping like they do now. They came here to look.
Many credit Hohenberger's photos with helping drive tourism to Brown County, which is now a multi-million-dollar industry. Visitors will find his photos proudly on display throughout town. And now a historical marker officially recognizes his contributions to the community.
His timeless black and white photographs will be viewed by millions of eyes in wonderment and awe, and always associated with Brown County, Indiana.
The marker sits in front of the Nashville House, which Hohenberger captured in several of his photos. Locals hope it will expose visitors to his work, which they say helped make Brown County what it is today.
Single-handedly, he's one of the people that put Nashville and Brown County on the map, not just in this country, but internationally.
I don't know that there's a legacy of photography in Indiana that could even come close to equaling Frank's contribution. 9,000 plus. I think there's actually a lot more than that.
Those thousands of photos tell a story of just how much things can change over the years, while others remain the same.
And I think that in spirit, I feel that way, that Frank, with his photography, is wandering the hills here.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
Indiana University's Lilly Library digitized more than 9,000 of Hohenberger's photos, which you can find online. Hohenberger actually wanted his archive destroyed, but IU President Herman B. Wells reportedly convinced him to donate them to the university instead. Researchers at Rose-Hulman are using large telescopes to study an asteroid the size of the Empire State Building that will pass close to Earth later this decade. Now, astronomers discovered the Apophis asteroid in 2004. They originally thought it might hit Earth, causing significant damage. They say in the spring of 2029, the asteroid will pass very near to Earth.
It will get closer than the moon, and it will get closer than the geosynchronous satellites, but it won't hit us on that pass.
He says the asteroid will continue to make close approaches to the Earth over the next 50 years. He also says the observatory's goal is to discover space rocks posing a danger to the planet as soon as possible. Over the next few years, as the asteroid moves closer to Earth, you will be able to see it with the naked eye. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard-Grodner Attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.